Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today, I'm delighted to share with you one of the very first videos filmed and sent in to me by a dear friend of mine, John Gobeil, our player sitting to the left. For today's game, he's going to be playing as our most recently released Ork faction Warlord Gorzod, who made his debut as of Planetfall Cycle Warpack 3, Deadly Salvage. In today's game, John is going to be up against a fellow named Greg Norman sitting to the right, and in this video, he is opting to play as our original Ork faction Warlord Nazdreg. John begins the game holding our initiative token, and it looks as though his opening deploy action is going to be the positioning of a copy of Crushface to planet number 1. It's one of our unique Ork faction army units with a cost of 3, 2 command icons, 2 attack, 3 hit points, and the ability where each subsequent Ork you deploy to his planet has its requisite resource cost reduced by 1 with no absolute minimum required. We see another copy of Crushface played out by Greg instead to planet number 3, and John responds by throwing out a copy of the 1 cost, 1 command icon, 1 card bonus Void Pirate to planet number 4. We see yet another unique Ork unit in Boss Zugnog played out by Greg for a modified 3 to planet number 3. It's got a command icon, 4 attack, 4 hit points, and it's got a rather unique Teleportapad-esque ability where you can deal 1 point of damage to any up to 2 Ork faction units you control at Zugnog's planet in order to relocate each of those up to 2 affected units to the first planet, albeit limit once per phase. And speak of the devil, we happen to see the 2-cost support Teleportapad in John Gobeil's HQ, which, as a combat action, you can exhaust that support in order to relocate any of your Ork units, including your Warlord, to the first planet should you choose to do so. And on Greg's side of the table, we see his own copy of Void Pirate thrown out to planet number 5. At planet number 1, on John's side of the table, we see our new Goes Fasta specialization, one of the hallmarks of Gorzod. We see a rickety war buggy, an army unit that I had the opportunity to initially spoil on this channel, played out for a modified cost of 0 thanks to Crushface. It's got no command, 3 attack, 1 hit point, and it has an ability where, if you don't have initiative, if you control an army unit not named Rickety War Buggy at that planet, it cannot be dealt damage by units. But it's of paramount importance to consider that you have to have an army unit at that planet, not your Warlord. It's not quite as good as Honored Librarian. Then, also at planet number 1, played for a modified 1 resource, we've got the 1 command, 1 attack, 3 hit point signature Gorzod's Wagons, with the Goes Fasta specialization where, if you don't possess initiative, that unit is going to get a +2 attack value bonus. And note, it's not which player possesses the initiative token, it's going to be which player possesses initiative. Looks like our players are both deciding what exactly they want to do with their warlords during our command phase. Note that the hallmark of Gorzod, really the gimmick and premise behind that warlord, is that you can include any Astra Militarum or Space Marine faction vehicle trait units in your deck that you'd like, but you can't contain any other cards from that faction, so no Space Marine events or army units or Astra Militarum events or supports or army units that do not happen to have that vehicle trait, so no Dozer Blade, nothing like that, but you are freely able to include neutral cards in your deck. Looks like both of our players have sent both of their warlords to planet number 5, so planet number 1, thanks to 3 command icons, is going to be a card and a resource for John Gobeil to the left. Planet number 2 is going to be no contest, neither of our players is going to be able to win the 2 cards associated with Eloith. Planet number 3 is going to be a couple of cards courtesy of Boundless to Greg on the right. Planet number 4 is going to be a total of 2 cards and 1 resource to John, and planet number 5 there is going to be a card and 2 resources to the right for Nazdreg. So, planet number 1, currently under contest, is going to be Karnath, the bit of a wildcard planet that allows you to trigger the battle ability of any other planet in play, possibly one of my favorite things to say while commentating these videos, and that is either going to be Eloith, which allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add one of those to your hand, or do a random discard, or have Aatrox fire at the enemy HQ or an adjacent planet, or it's going to be Farron routing some target unit like Boss Zugnog, which is a 4 4/4, and considering Nazdreg confers the brutal keyword to each and every unit sitting at his planet, each and every friendly unit, a 4/4 unit can be an absolute monstrosity. So we're going to definitely be seeing combat at battle at planet number 1. Looks like it did nothing whatsoever. So Greg does nothing to, say, relocate Crushface and Zugnog to planet number 1. Looks like John triggered Farron, and that is going to be the unique boss Zugnog indeed routed, and that's going to be a red and a blue planet type icon added to John's victory display. So at planet number 5, that is going to be a swing from Gorzod to Nazdreg. Greg discards a copy of Squigify, so 2-2 is going to be no points of damage dealt out to Nazdreg, and let's see what exactly John can do. His teleportapad isn't going to be able to allow him to reinforce the final planet. Nazdreg is going to exhaust to take a swing. That's going to be 2 points of damage successfully dealt to Gorzod. The Void Pirate flails ineffectually at our war boss, and now that's going to be the end of a combat round. Is John going to be retreating or not? He's definitely looking to fight an uphill battle, a 2/7 with 2 points of damage going up against a 2/7 that has no points of damage. At the end of a combat round there, looks like that copy of Void Pirate ends up retreating, and I suppose that indicates that John is going to be staying, because the player with initiative always has to have, the option of retreating first to give that information out to the opponent. But looks like John is going to be delivering another blow to Nazdreg, and will we see another shield card? That's going to be a copy of Rocket Launcher, discarded as a shield, so 2-1 is just going to be 1 point of damage upon Nazdreg, and let's see what kind of shield cards John has in hand. Very interesting couple of plays here. So Rock Bombardment discarded as shields, but we see No Mercy activated by our Orc faction player. Crushface is going to exhaust. As part of playing No Mercy, that means that that shield card remains discarded, but its effects are going to be negated, and now John is sitting with a Warlord there that's just got 4 points of damage on it. So Gorzod decides to retreat from that planet, and that's going to be an opportunity there for Nazdreg to banish that copy of Void Pirate to John's HQ. So now something to consider is that wherever it is that John sends his Warlord, he's going to be bringing an absolute mountain of units with him, because he's got Crushface in his HQ, he's got that Void Pirate, he's got the Battle Wagons, he's also got a rickety War Buggy, but he could potentially send units to, say, planet number 2, 3, or 4, or 5, and then use a teleportapad to move some of those units, when desirable to do so, to planet number 1. And if he can guarantee that he's not going to be benefiting from initiative at that planet, he might well decide to place some sort of army units to planet number 1, maybe additional copies of Gorzod's Battle Wagons, and then do something clever like move the immune to damage via units rickety War Buggy to that planet, and then serve to win another planet, capture another planet there. But John's got a blue and a red icon. That means we could see this game conclude as early as our current planet number 3. We've seen another HQ phase occur, which is going to be 2 cards and 4 resources for each of our players' initiative, as indicated by the new Team Covenant War token there sitting upon planet number 1. That is going to be pointing toward Greg, so he's going to be our player with initiative, and it looks like he's deciding what exactly he wants to put into play. Note that both of these players have a copy of Void Pirate sitting in their HQ, so wherever their Warlord goes, if they end up winning a command struggle, they're going to be pulling an additional card. But just in regard to planetary interactions here, keep in mind planet number 5 is going to be Iridial, the healing planet, so that could potentially strip some damage off of Gorzod. On his bloodied side, I believe he's a 2/5 Warlord. I should have checked prior to filming this video, but Gorzod isn't necessarily a Warlord you need bogged down in combat. If you can get his signature attachment, the Blood Runner, on him, he gains an additional 2 hit points, and whenever a vehicle is destroyed at his planet, you've got the opportunity to ready him, albeit limit once per phase, but he's really not doing a whole hell of a lot himself, at least not relative to a Warlord like Nazdreg or Zarather or Colonel Strachan or any number of others. He's kind of like War in that sense, where you just want him for his global ability, which is to decrease the cost of Space Marine and Astro Militarum faction faction vehicles you deploy by 1. But we've yet to see anything outside of the Orc and, well, neutral is not a faction, but you know what I mean. Nothing too crazy on John's side of the table here, but John throws out a copy of Void Pirate to planet number 3. Looks like we finally see a copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits, which was almost placed onto the tabletop earlier at planet number 5 for Greg. That signature army unit, 3 cost, 1 command, 2 attack, 4 hit points. It's going to be able to deal itself a point of damage in order to ready it, so it could initially attack for 2, and then alongside Nazdreg, you could ready it. It could attack for 3. We've got a copy of Snakebite Thug sitting at planet number 2, a 2 cost, 3/4 with command icon that deals itself damage, and it looks as though immediately after the deployment of a copy of Gorzod's Wagons to a blue technology icon possessing planet, we see a copy of I don't know if it's exactly fair to call it premature, but it just seems strange to trade 2 resources and a card for 2 resources and a card, but that copy of Sowing Chaos is going to result in the destruction of each and every army unit cost 2 or lower that happens to be sitting at one of those blue technology icon possessing planets, and then immediately thereafter we see a second copy of Snakebite Thug, this time under the employ of John Gobeil, sitting upon planet number 1. Again, like I said, it's a 3/4 unit, but after it successfully resolves its attack, it deals itself a point of damage, therefore it works reasonably well with Nazdreg if you've got some shields to make sure that after it damages itself, it's able to subsequently survive long enough to attack again. But note, initiative is going to be in the possession here of Greg at the first planet, so even though he doesn't currently possess any units at planet 1, that could definitely change, and Boss Zugnog could deal some damage to units, like let's say Nazdreg shows up at planet number 5, presumably to block off John Gobeil from winning Iridial and being able to heal his units. Gorzod instead arrives at planet number 3, so let's do our command struggles and then I'll keep prattling on. Planet number 1 is going to be a couple of cards won by John Gobeil. Planet number 2 is going to be a couple of cards won by Greg Norman. Planet number 3 is going to be 2 cards, 1 resource won by John. Planet number 4 is going to be entirely uncontested, and planet number 5 is going to be a total of 2 cards to Nazdreg, courtesy of the bonus of that Void Pirate here. So, both of our players have got abilities to relocate any of their units to the first planet. Note, John has got a copy of Teleportapad, so he's going to be able to win the battle at planet number 1 unless Greg decides to do something about it, and what exactly Greg could do is he could have Boss Zugnog deal himself a point of damage, and he could have, yes, looks like that copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits also take a point of damage in order to relocate both of those units to the first planet. But that's also going to give my homeboy John Gobeil the opportunity to relocate any of his units he'd like via Teleportapad to planet number 1, which could be the Rickety War Buggy, which is a 3/1, but again, so long as he controls that copy of Snakebite Thug, it cannot be dealt damage by units. Or he could do Gorzod's Wagons, which is going to be a 3/3, courtesy of that Goes Fastest specialization, but at planet number 1, something that sucks for John Gobeil is the Nazdreg's Flash Gits is going to be able to swing for 2, which is going to be blocked entirely by the timely discard of that Squigify, and this is ever so slightly premature. That copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits readies itself now, which means it's going to be at 2 points of damage, and then John Gobeil is, of course, going to have the opportunity to swing, but I just can't help but feel it's probably suboptimal to trigger that ability right before you need it, because it makes it, I don't know, easier for your opponent to kill your unit thanks to, like, Crushing Blow or No Mercy. Any number of different effects like that could potentially come into play, so whether or not it made a difference, definitely something for you, dear viewers, to keep in mind, and for myself to do so as well. But we are going to be coming to the end of a combat round here, though we happen to see that copy of Teleportapad exhaust, and it's going to be relocating one of these units to our current planet number 1. Is it going to be Rickety War Buggy? The answer is yes, it is going to be Rickety War Buggy, and therefore Boss Zugnog can play as long as he wants with that Snakebite Thug, but then the Rickety War Buggy might end up ambushing him nevertheless. So, we finally come to the end of a combat round here. All of our units are going to be readying, and now are we going to see Boss Zugnog retreat or not? Are we going to see John Gobeil end up retreating one of his units after he used Teleportapad to move a unit to the first planet? Something tells me no, but let's see what exactly our players decide to do. We're also going to be seeing battles take place at planet number 3. That'll be an opportunity for John Gobeil to have Aatrox Prime Bombard bombard planet number 2 for a couple of points of damage, 1 to Crush Face and 1 to that Snakebite Thug. And it looks like at the end of a combat round, Boss Zugnog decides to be a bit of a chicken shit and fly his Defcopta out of there, and that is going to be John Gobeil, having the ability there to take a peek at the top 3 cards of his deck, add one of those cards to his hand, and put the remaining 2 on the bottom of his deck in the order of his choice. So no way to know what exactly John fetched from the top of his deck, but hopefully it's going to be something worthwhile. And now that's going to be Aatrox Prime shooting Crush Face in the Snakebite Thug. So Boundless is going to be blasted to its foundation by that orbital bombardment there. That's going to be Gorzod bouncing back to his HQ, and then Nazdreg is going to have a chance to strip all the damage off of 1 unit. And it looks as though that is going to be the Crush Face, or maybe not. Just something interesting to keep in mind if you're considering purchasing those new war tokens from Team Covenant. They're going to be the tokens, the acrylic tokens that John Gobeil is using, whereas the originals are going to be used by Greg Norman there. So hipster Greg Norman, no offense meant whatsoever, of course, just poking fun. He's playing with the original tokens, whereas tryhard John Gobeil is going to be breaking out the new ones. But regardless, we've seen another HQ phase come and go. That means we've got a new 5th planet, our last planet we're going to be seeing this game, because in the game of Conquest, there is always a finite number of planets, although 10 is also finite. Regardless, last planet, Ossus 4, is going to be that Steel 1 resource planet. Initiative is once again going to bounce to John Gobeil, and because he won Elwith, that means he's got 2 blue and 1 red material type icons, so if he's going to be able to win Aatrox Prime, that is going to be the game for him, or otherwise he's going to have to win 2 red planets, or Greg is going to have to do something here, so he's definitely going to want to try to reinforce Aatrox Prime pretty heavily. I don't necessarily think he can afford to allow John Gobeil to run amok and deploy a large number of units there to planet number 2, but what exactly can Nazdreg do to try to stave off our new Ork Warlord here? It's kind of a shame we haven't seen anything too crazy from Gorzod. Like I said, normally you want to see Space Marine and Astra Militarum faction vehicles, but we sure as hell haven't seen any of those yet. But at planet number 1, that's going to be a copy of Frontline Ardboys. I believe that's a new unit as of Boundless Hate, 2nd war pack in the Planetfall cycle, 4 cost, 2 command, 2 attack, 5 hit points, and it has to be declared a defender if able. So when you go to declare an attack, you declare an attacker, you declare a defender, and if the Frontline Ardboys are sitting at that planet, then you have to pick them. And what's great is if Nazdreg is sitting at that planet, you're not going to be able to attack Nazdreg directly. The Frontline Ardboys are going to be able to soak up a bunch of damage with their 5 HP reservoir. They're likely going to be able to attack in return for a large amount of damage thanks to Nazdreg's conferred Brutal. And note that copy of Snakebite Thug and Crush Face are already taking damage, so if they gain Brutal, if you can't pick off those already damaged Orc units, then things are definitely looking a little bit frightening. But on Greg's side of the table, we've got a copy of Void Pirate positioned at planet number 5. Also at planet number 5, we've got a copy of Rogue Trader under the employ of John Gobeil, and it's gotten a fixed copy of Promotion. 3 command icons is, of course, always going to be better than 1. All good things come in threes, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. But planet number 4, we've got a Void Pirate played out by Greg. Planet number 2, we've got another Void Pirate. We've got Rogue Trader at planet 3 for John Gobeil. Always the economy player. Let's see where exactly Gorzod is going to go. My heart tells me that Gorzod is going to arrive at planet number 2, therefore that deployment of the Void Pirate makes sense. It's going to be a nice destination for Gorzod to arrive. He's going to be able to guarantee that he'll win command. He'll be able to guarantee that he picks up that 1-card bonus. Not the worst idea in the world would be Nazdreg to show up at planet number 3. He'll get the ability to rout a unit. He'll be able to kill off John's Rogue Trader. Planet number 1 is as good as already captured by Nazdreg, it would seem like it would be absolute suicide for John to send his units to the first planet just to get absolutely pummeled into oblivion, even with the assistance of that teleporter pad here. So both of our players are deciding where exactly they want to send their warlords. Note, planet number 2, we saw a rugged killicans played out by John Gobeil. Bit of a shame that Orc faction vehicle unit doesn't actually derive any benefit whatsoever from Gorzod until we happen to see his signature attachment, the customization station, and very interestingly, we see Gorzod arrive to planet number 4, so it looks like he's going to try to get off a healing effect, and he's also going to shut down that Void Pirate associated with well, the Void Pirate controlled by Greg, and I suppose Nazdreg, in sending himself to planet number 5, is going to try to shut down the resource economy of John Gobeil, because he's going to block John from potentially winning 3 resources, and he's also going to be able to steal a resource, and he can relocate units, courtesy of Boss Zugnog. But planet number 1 is going to be a couple of cards to the right for Greg. Planet number 2 is going to be 2 cards and 1 resource for John. Planet number 3 is going to be 3 resources for John. Planet number 4 is going to be a total of 1 card for John, and planet number 5 is going to be 2 resources and a card to the right for Nazdreg. So John's got a fair few resources. Looks like planet number 1, Boundless, that forced random discard planet, is going to be effectively won, and that is going to be the random discard of a frontline Ardboys from John's hand. Probably not something that he terribly minds seeing leave play. We're also going to be seeing a battle at planet number 4. Gorzod is about to pulverize that Void Pirate, absolutely tear it apart with that ginormous power claw of his, and let's see if Void Pirate can potentially withstand the pneumatic armored carapace of a war boss. Something tells me no, but who knows? Maybe we'll see shield cards discarded. Yeah, I was going to say I'd be pretty surprised, but may as well just talk through all different scenarios here. So, Nazdreg is at planet number 5, he's going to be able to kill off that copy of Rogue Trader, but before that happens, that is going to be Gorzod stripping away 4 points of damage, and that copy of Snakebite Thug is going to be left sitting at that planet's. Okay, looks like our order of operations maybe got ever so slightly wrong. So what happened there is we come to the end of a combat round, then you've got the opportunity to retreat. John decided to retreat with his rickety war buggy. Then you start the new combat round. You have the opportunity to take a combat turn, and then combat ends. So John is going to be able to send his rickety war buggy, now in his HQ, to our now current first planet, Aatrox Prime, John's victory condition, and in doing so, he's also going to be able to use Teleportapad after that Snakebite Thug potentially wins him command at that planet to basically pile all of his units to planet number 1. So Nazdreg is going to have to play out a whole hell of a lot of units at planet number 1, otherwise this game is going to be lost, and John is going to have to try to do similarly. So this game is either going to end this turn, or it could end if John's going to be able to take Farron and Iridial, but it's all going to come down to what exactly our Nazdreg player is going to be able to bring to bear against John in regard to firepower. Zugnog is going to be able to relocate himself. The frontline Ardboys are going to be able to soak up a whole lot of damage, but John doesn't have anything monumentally powerful. He's got that rugged killicans, which is a brutal unit, but it doesn't exactly have any damage on it, so it's only going to be able to attack for a paltry 2, which for the cost of 4 resources is almost unacceptable in my mind, and initiative here at the first planet is going to be going to Nazdreg. Nazdreg is sitting there at 7 total hit points. Gorzod is also at 7 hit points, but the damage output capacity of Nazdreg definitely outclasses Gorzod, just based on how much he can augment the other units. Maybe if John Gobeil stumbles across some Assault Valkyries or Raven Guard Speeders or something along those lines, he's going to be able to make this a much more likely victory for him. But until, we see this planet captured, it's still anyone's game. So, Nazdreg has got quite a few different units in his HQ. Crushface is going to be showing up, presumably at planet number 1 wounded, but because Crushface is sitting in that HQ, he's not actually able to reduce the cost associated with any of those Orc faction units, and that is just a damn bit of a shame there. But Looks like our players are giving a lot of thought and consideration in regard to what they want to do. Custom Field Generator enters play, played out by Greg Norman. That's a 2-cost support where whenever one of your units is going to be dealt damage by an attack, you can exhaust that support to cancel all the damage associated with that attack, and then you take an equivalent number of damage and reassign it, redistribute it as indirect damage among all Orc faction units you control at that planet, which can be an absolutely fantastic opportunity for you to abuse the indirect damage rules to, I don't know, stomach some attack of 5 or 6 or 7, and then redistribute it to maybe your only one remaining unit at a planet, and then you're going to be able to shield away a monumental amount of damage. Looks like Boss Zugnog, who must be eligible to receive war gear, is going to pick up a copy of Goff Big Choppa, so he's going to get +2 attack and armor bane, so he's going to be able to attack for at least 6, which is going to be outright unpreventable. John Gobeil plays out to planet number 1 his first Astra Militarum vehicle trait unit. It's going to be a copy of Steel Legion Chimera, which is great for John's deck, because look at how many non-vehicles he's got sitting at planet number 1. It's going to be a 2/4 unit with a command icon, and whenever a non-vehicle trait unit is going to be dealt damage by an attack at the same planet as a Steel Legion Chimera, you pull 1 point of damage away from that attack. A Biga is Beta is going to be used to deploy a Weird Boy Maniac at planet number 1. That is a normally 3 cost, now 1 cost, 1 command, 2/4 unit that deals 1 point of damage to each and every other unit at its planet, and that's going to be a lot of damage going out to John Gobeil's units, so that's going to be 5 damage for the cost of, well, I suppose just 1 resource. That was an absolutely fantastic play there, but of course Biga is Beta is going to deal a point of damage to the Weird Boy Maniac, but if Nazdreg shows up, which I can only imagine that he's going to be, then that, single point of damage just makes Brutal all the more likely, and thanks to that copy of Frontline Ardboys, the more damage that Nazdreg can throw out, the better. But looks like we finally see a second Astra Militarum faction vehicle played out by John Gobeil. It's going to be the Assault Valkyrie at planet number 1. So, for the modified cost of 3, because that Hail Warlord Gorzod, it's going to be a 1-command 4/4 unit, so a 4/4 for 3 resources, but wait, there's more. It's also got the Flying keywords. Whenever it happens to take attack damage from a non-flying unit, you cut that in half, albeit rounded up, and then you have the opportunity to shield. So an attack of 10 is going to be decreased to 5, and then you've got the opportunity to shield, and if you throw out a 2-value shield card, then that is going to be a living Assault Valkyrie. So obviously a very fantastic card for the price, probably one of the primary appeals of playing as Gorzod at this moment. And let's see what else either of our players throw out. John's only got 2 resource tokens left, and let's see. We are indicating that the Frontline Ardboys are on the table, it looks like. Not exactly sure what was behind that, but our players are slowly but surely running out of deploy actions. I can only imagine that both of our warlords are going to be showing up at the first planets, and I guess it's just definitely going to be an uphill battle here for Nazdreg, but what could change? We could see Rock Bombardment potentially played by Greg, which is at a red planet, so after resolving an attack, each enemy unit ends up dealing itself a point of damage. We could also see a battle cry if Greg comes across a few additional resources here, and I am not exactly certain if that is a 3 resource value or 1 resource value token that Greg has sitting atop his Conquest LCG playmat there. But at planet number 1, John is presumably going to be able to easily win command. He doesn't have any economy units left at that planet, but planet number 2 and 3, it's looking like John is going to also reel in that income, and then really the only thing that Nazdreg has going for him is at planet number 4, it's looking like he's going to win a card and 2 resources, which is going to be enough for Battle Cry or Rock Bombardment or gosh, I suppose something like Made to Fight, where at the same planet as sits your Warlord, like when that frontline Ardboys leaves play, you could deal damage equal to its attack value to a target enemy unit, which could work out all right. Looks like Gorzod is going to go to planet number 5. Well, I suppose planet number 4. If you were to set your dial for 5, you'd still go to planet number 4, the last possible planet, and that's going to be a move by John Gobeil to shut off his opponent's economy, as he is so fond of doing, and should he need to do so, he might be able to relocate his 2/7 to the first planet by that teleporter pad. So, looks like John Gobeil is just absolutely slaughtering the command here. Planet number 1, our Nazdreg, maintains initiative. He's going to win 1 card, 1 resource. Planet number 2 is going to be a total of 3 resources to John Gobeil. Planet number 3 is also going to be 1 resource to John. And then planet number 4 is just going to be 2 resources for John, but he does deprive his opponent of 1 card as well as 2 resources. So let us see what exactly is going to be occurring here. John has quite clearly got 7 total resources. And with that, he could play a couple copies of Battlecry, or he could potentially play 3 copies of Rock Bombardment and basically guarantee that he's going to be able to win this battle, but something tells me that that is statistically unlikely, and I think John actually discarded a copy of Rock Bombardment at some point earlier. So, we see a copy of Squigbomb played. I think this may be the first video in which I've seen a Squigbomb played. That's going to be Teleportapad unused and destroyed, so 2 resources to destroy that teleportapad. It's going to prevent Gorzod or the Snakebite Thug from being strategically relocated to the first planet. And let's see how things are going to just be resolved here. We know that Greg to the right is allied with Chaos. I happen to spy a Warp Storm in his hand, but I do not believe that Greg has any remaining resources, and therefore he's definitely not going to be able to afford the 3 resources associated with a Warp Storm, which, granted, would deal 2 points of damage to each and every unit at that planet. But we've got a whole hell of a lot of units sitting at planet number 1. Nazdreg's forces showed up essentially exhausted, and John has got a lot of ready units ready to deal out a considerable amount of damage to Nazdreg, and I believe Nazdreg is deciding whether or not he wants to move Boss Zugnog to the first planet. So Zugnog is going to deal itself a point of damage if it does decide to relocate, but then thanks to the assistance of Nazdreg, it's going to be able to attack for 8 Armor Bane, which is going to be a sufficient amount to kill off that Assault Valkyrie in a single swing. So 8 cut in half is going to be 4. No opportunity to shield means dead Assault Valkyrie. And, there's no custom field generator on John's side of the table. And unfortunately for him, because there's no customization station in play, the signature support for Gorzod, that means that an Astra Militarum faction identity vehicle is, of course, ineligible for a custom field generator, but it looks like we may not be deciding to target the Assault Valkyrie, or perhaps we do. So yes, that's going to be Zugnog taking a hefty swing, and I don't know how exactly you swing I guess a power axe from a Defcopta. It's probably not nearly as difficult as I am thinking it is, or Orks just don't care if they look classy while they're doing it. But the Assault Valkyrie is going to be knocked out of the sky quite handily. Note, Boss Zugnog does not himself have the flying keyword, but John Gobeil throws out a copy of Battlecry. That's going to be a +2 attack value bonus to each and every one of his units. John does not have the initiative, so therefore Gorzod's wagons are going to be able to swing for 5. A discarded copy of Battlecry means that that's only going to be 3 points of damage dealt out to the frontline Ardboys, and I can only imagine that that orange token, as opposed to the dull, rusty blood red, is going to be a 3 damage token there. So the frontline Ardboys are fortunately exhausted, but if they have an opportunity to swing, they'll be doing so for 5. And then just remember, at any point, we could have custom field generator make John's life a bit of a nightmare in allowing Boss Zugnog to continue to exist, and if it has another chance to attack, then it's probably just going to absolutely annihilate another one of John's units here. And if Aatrox Prime is going to be lost by John, it's not going to be the game lost, but he won't win the game at this round, and then Aatrox Prime is going to be able to either hit what, if anything, John retreats with, or it's going to be a dead rogue trader, presumably at planet number 2. So what exactly is occurring? That's going to be the Weird Boy Maniac swinging for a modified 3 at the Steel Legion Chimera. John discards a copy of his signature attachment, the aforementioned the Blood Runner. So 3-3 is going to be no points of damage dealt out to that Steel Legion Chimera. And are we going to see an action played by our Orc or not? Looks like that's going to be a copy of No Mercy. So Nazdreg exhausts, and that is going to be a dead Steel Legion Chimera. So I guess if there's any time to get rid of a shield card, it's going to be when your opponent throws out their signature attachment. So pretty decent play on the part of Nazdreg. No Mercy definitely isn't something you see every day, but it's definitely unexpected when it happens to occur, at least for an inexperienced player such as myself. But looks like it's going to be John's opportunity here to take a swing, but we've got another combat action occurring. And what exactly is happening? So it looks like Custom Field Generator is going to be activated, and we're going to be distributing damage tokens among some of our Orc faction units. I can't for the life of me quite recall if Crushface was exhausted or not, but it looks like we're currently distributing the 4 damage that he is dealing under the influence here of Battlecry. So it looks like Nazdreg is going to be distributing damage so that he's going to be able to get the most bang out of his buck. The frontline Ard Boys are going to be sitting at 1 hit point remaining, so therefore they're going to be able to not just soak up as much damage as possible, but they're also going to be, killed by the next swing, so you may as well make it count for as much as you can. Get them to you just may as well pile them high with damage tokens if you're counting on them succumbing to some enormous attack regardless. Like that Killicans is going to be threatening a swing of 5. The Snakebite Thug is going to be attacking for 5. And I guess it's going to be once again Nazdreg's opportunity to attack, but he is fresh out of units. So John's still got 2 attacks to go through. The rugged Killicans are going to take a swing. So the frontline Ard Boys are finally going to be killed off, and now it's looking a little bit difficult for John to try to win the battle at this planet. Snakebite Thug takes a swing of 5, and if Boss Zugnog is going to get killed, that is definitely going to help the odds of John Gobeil. That's going to be Zugnog destroyed, and looks like we see a copy of a Hostile Acquisition, the signature event for Gorzod, discarded as a shield. So Snakebite Thug's phrasing is that it's not a cost. It's after you resolve its attack, it deals itself 1 point of damage, therefore it is shieldable. And considering Nazdreg's yet to throw out any vehicles, you may as well get rid of that signature attachment, which, for the cost of just 1 resource, allows Gorzod, upon damaging an enemy vehicle unit with an attack, to gain control of it. Definitely not the most powerful signature event we've seen in the context of our current meta. Perhaps someday it'll be a bit more decent. Maybe Gorzod will end up stealing control of a rugged Killicans from the opposing Nazdreg here. But again, I think that would be a low probability event. So we come to the end of a combat round. Nazdreg, absolutely no reason for him to retreat. If he ends up losing this planet, that is going to be the game lost for him. The copy of Snakebite Thug from Nazdreg is going to take a swing, kill off that copy of Gorzod's battle wagons. Now it's going to be John's turn, and he's going to be able to attack for either his Snakebite Thug for 5, the rugged Killicans for 5, again thanks to Battlecry, or Crushface for 4, and even a single additional Orc unit sitting at this planet, like the Rickety War Buggy, being able to attack for 5 thanks to that Battlecry could have made a monumental bit of difference. So Squigify definitely is probably paying off in spades here, but the Snakebite Thug kills the copy of Weird Boy Maniac, and now what exactly are we going to see? We're going to see Crushface being able to attack for 4, and is he going to be able to kill off one of John Gobeil's units? Yes, Crushface kills Crushface, and I would make a joke about hating myself, but I'll just leave it to the cards. So, Greg's copy of his unique Orc kills John's copy of the same, and now it's going to be the rugged Killicans with the opportunity to take a swing, they're going to attack that Snakebite Thug. The Snakebite Thug is going to be killed, and now let's just ponder to ourselves, how radically would the outcome of this battle be? Like, how radically different would it be if a Rickety War Buggy would have been sitting at this planet? And I believe by now it would have been working up its like second opportunity to attack. So Crushface takes a swing at the Snakebite Thug there. I believe it would have been attacking for 3, or I don't know. Whatever the case was, we saw another hostile acquisition discarded, and John did not lose his copy of Snakebite Thug. So I can't quite tell if that was a mistake, but I've got the utmost faith in John Gobeil's math, and he's certainly more present than I am with everything on the line here. So we come to the end of a combat round. John is going to decide not to retreat, but again, the initiative is going to be in the possession of Nazdreg. It's going to be pretty close, but I think it's entirely possible Nazdreg might be able to successfully defend against this planet. The rugged Killicans attacks for 5. The Snakebite Thug attacks for 5. Crushface is going to be able to attack for 4, which is the exact remaining number of hit points associated with that rugged Killicans. And let us see what exactly happens. John's got a 1-value shield card in his hand. I suppose you may as well try to kill off that Snakebite Thug, just because, like, this is a really shitty situation to find yourself in, because John's got a 1 shield value card in hand. If you attack with Crushface, if your opponent uses even a single shield card, you'll have the ability to he'll be able to block off that attack. Looks like John takes a moment to assess his opponent's discard pile, but let's say Crushface takes a swing at the rugged Killicans. If John shields it, then the Snakebite Thug could attack, say, Nazdreg. Nazdreg is going to have to attack, potentially kill the Snakebite Thug. Then the rugged Killicans is going to be able to kill off Crushface, and then the Nazdreg, if he sticks around, he's going to deal, say, 2 points of damage to the Killicans. Then the Killicans is going to be able to attack for a grand total of 7 against Nazdreg. And if, for some reason, Nazdreg did not have any shields remaining in hand, or if our Gorzod player had a whole bunch of shields remaining in hand, Nazdreg is not going to be able to stand up to that kind of, DPS output. So, how are things going to be resolving here? I think if it were me, I would have Crushface kill that Snakebite Thug, then this just sucks. Like, either way, it's difficult mathematics, and I don't really think they work out great either way, because if you guaranteed kill the Snakebite Thug, you still got that copy of Rugged Killicans. So, let's see what exactly is going to happen. That's going to be a copy of Promotion discarded. That's going to be one of those beautiful new 3 damage value tokens being tossed on that Killicans. So it is going to take a swing for a modified 7 against Nazdreg -2, thanks to the timely interjection of a Rock Bombardment. Is going to be 5 points of damage dealt out to Nazdreg. Now Nazdreg is going to have the chance here to kill off that Snakebite Thug, unless John has a 2-value shield card in hand, but looks like he's just definitely going to pile up as much damage as possible onto Nazdreg, and then I can only imagine that he is going to try to block off his opponent from being able to win Iridial. But we're going to come to the end of a combat round, and is John going to be retreating with his unit? Yes, he is. So Nazdreg is going to be able to win that planet, and therefore it's going to be up to Nazdreg. Does he want to target Farron and potentially kill that rogue trader, or does he want to try to kill that rugged Killicans that's going to be showing up during combat the following round exhausted? Looks like he decides to get rid of a rogue trader. That is going to be Aatrox Prime 1 by Nazdreg, so congratulations to that, sir. He's going to add to his victory display a blue and a red material and technology type icon, so he's got one of each kind. Now we've got our current planet number 1, because we're in the process of resolving an HQ phase here. That is going to be Farron. It's going to be a red planet. Doesn't matter which player picks this up, but if Nazdreg wins planet number 1, he's going to be able to rout one of John's units, and further, he's going to be able to potentially win the game at Iridial if he picks up that planet, or if, regardless as to whether or not John picks up our current first planet, if John wins Iridial, then that is going to be the game for him. So this is getting interesting. Both of our players have come across 4 resources and 2 cards. It's going to be Gorzod's Initiative Gorzod's got quite a few resource tokens, and he is going to be our player to take the first deploy action. Looks like our Nazdreg player has got a whole mitt full of cards still, and John doesn't have nearly quite so much at his disposal, but it looks like he does probably have access to more resources with which to fund some of these effects, and definitely Gorzod is going to be in a better position health-wise than is Nazdreg, and as soon as Nazdreg is going to be banished from a planet, there's not going to be too much that Nazdreg is going to do to benefit our Ork, and I can't imagine that John is going to let Nazdreg show up at Iridial and win that planet. Crushface is practically dead. He's not going to be able to decrease the cost associated with deploying Ork units if he's stuck in your HQ, and even custom field generator could definitely come into play in sparing, oh my god, some really low HP Ork units, but speaking of walling off Iridial, John Gobeil throws out a copy of our new Ramshackle truck to planet number 2. So, yet another Goes Fasta specialization unit, 5 cost elite, 2 command icons, 7 printed attack value, 3 hit points, and like I said, Goes Fasta specialization. If your opponent maintains initiative, then it is going to be a 7 HP value unit, and that's going to be a lot of damage that a unit like that could potentially dish out, and Nazdreg is sitting pretty at, gosh, I guess a mere, I think it's just 1 hit point remaining if those are those blue, not blue, god, orange, 3 damage value tokens. So Nazdreg is practically half in the grave. He's not going to be able to deal with a ramshackle truck taking a swing at him, and even if we do happen to see a 1 HP value Nazdreg because of the presence of Crushface and any other yet to be deployed Ork units, you're not exactly going to be able to abuse custom field generator. Like if Nazdreg were alone, if he's at 1 hit point, the ramshackle truck could swing for 7, custom field generator would prevent that damage, you'd reassign all of that damage is indirect among all the Ork faction units you control, but you can't assign more indirect damage than the unit has remaining hit points, and therefore, if you can only assign 1 point of damage to Nazdreg, you could discard a copy of Promotion, or Biga is Beta, or whatever it happens to be, and that's going to be a 7 value attack just entirely negated. But planet number 1, John Gobeil throws out a copy of another Goes Fasta specialization unit. It's going to be the Rickety War Buggy, which, if John does not have initiative, then it's not going to be able to have its beneficial effect, where if you control another army unit at that planet not named Rickety War Buggy, it can't be dealt damage by units. But the benefit to a 3/1 unit for 1 resource is, if you've got initiative, just like an Incubus Warrior, it's going to be able to deal out a potentially hefty amount of damage to your enemy. John, note, does not have a copy of Teleportapad anymore because it was blown up thanks to Squig Bombing. And I can only imagine at this point John has passed. Note that Nazdreg has got a copy of Teleportapad to allow for him to strategically reposition some of his units to the first planet, but I can't help but feel like it may not really be of much use. Like, I guess the best case scenario would be you send Nazdreg to a planet to block your opponent from winning command, and then during combat you move Nazdreg away from that planet. It just doesn't exactly seem like it's hugely beneficial to me, but on Nazdreg's side of the table, in his HQ, we see his signature support, the Cracktooth Hall. For the cost of 2 and a combat action, you can pick one of your units, you can pick up one of the damage tokens upon it, and you can generously dote that upon your opponent, and that could potentially be the finishing point of damage, dealing out the killing blow to that copy of Rugged Killicans or something like that, because, if you can prevent it from attacking for 6, then I would definitely encourage you to do so. And you can, spot heal one of your units, you can spot remove one of your enemy units, and move damage, of course, does not allow you the opportunity to shield. Both of our players have decided where exactly they want to send their warlords. Looks like Nazdreg is going to show up at planet number 1, and Gorzod shows up to planet number 1. So that means Nazdreg is going to have to get the F away from that planet, lest he get absolutely obliterated obliterated and demolished, and Gorzod's fleet of vehicles is about to steamroll over our player there. So very interestingly, we see a copy of Squigbomb used during the first command phase action window to destroy that copy of Cracktooth Hall prior to its being used in order to preserve that copy of Rugged Killicans. But planet number 1, no player is going to win any command there. Planet number 2 is going to be 1 card for John Gobeil, which is definitely going to be better than nothing. So we are going to see battle at planet number 1. That's going to be Gorzod taking a swing, and I can only imagine Nazdreg if Gorzod, or God, I'm sorry. I was going to say, why not the Rickety War Buggy? It's got 1 higher attack value, and unfortunately, that is going to be a bloodied Nazdreg. So, bit of a debacle right there. Nazdreg is going to be flipped over to his bloodied side. He's now a 2/5 Orc. He's still got that War Boss power armor, but his, Power Claw doesn't quite function just like it used to. So, Nazdreg's now got to take pills to make sure that his armor is working correctly, and it looks like we may have actually seen, no, we saw a copy of Warp Storm, I guess. I don't know if that was discarded as a shield or what exactly that was, but we saw a copy of Warp Storm shown off at some point. I guess Gorzod dealt out the killing blow, finished off that copy of Crush Face, and now things are looking absolutely impossible for Gorzod to try to win. So Gorzod's going to be sitting there bloodied. He's a 2/5. What can attack for 7? The answer is Ramshackle Truck. Make sure to fill that out on your Scantron for full credits. We see another HQ phase come and go. That's going to be 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players. And now Nazdreg is definitely going to be faced with a bit of an uphill battle here. So John Gobeil has got a whole hell of a lot of units that are all going to show up at planet number 1. Gorzod is a 2/7, Nazdreg is a 2/5. That alone is probably going to be enough to win John the game, but in addition to that, he's got a 7/3, and what additionally sucks for his opponent is if Nazdreg shows up to planet number 1, that's going to be the initiative maintained by Nazdreg, and that is going to be a 7/7 Ramshackle Truck, and unless we've got a copy of Squigify or something like that, that truck is going to absolutely just, wreck Nazdreg, and even with the assistance of Squigify, a 1/7 is not exactly what I want to have to deal with a 2/5. But things get ever so slightly interesting. We've got a copy of Snakebite Thug put out to planet number 2 by Greg, so that's going to be a couple of resources won by him. John had that copy of Snakebite Thug at planet number 1, but a copy of Sowing Chaos is going to destroy it. But for the cost of 3, we've got a Mordian Hellhound being put into play at planet number 1. That's a 3/3 with a couple command icons, and it's got area effect. And it looks as though we're maybe rushing the game along here because Nazdreg looks suspiciously like he's sitting at planet number 1, even though John has yet to set his command dial, so perhaps Nazdreg at this point has accepted defeat, but let's see here. So Nazdreg is going to maintain initiative. That is going to be 1 card for John Gobeil. It's going to be 2 resources for Greg Norman. And what, if anything, can Nazdreg do? So Nazdreg is going to reveal the contents of his hand, and I can only imagine that right there is going to be the GG. So why don't we go ahead and call it that? Is going to be good game. Nazdreg has shown everything, every tool he has at his disposal. He's got a mitt full of army units, but it's going to be insufficient to stave off this orcish onslaught. I guess really the best case scenario is a bloodied Nazdreg is going to be able to attack for 2. Then the, let's say, Gorzod and the Mordian Hellhound are going to start dealing out points of damage. It even looks like we've got a copy of Daka to block off some damage dealt out to the Ramshackle Truck. So that is going to be that. Nazdreg cannot resist this just swarm of vehicular units. Custom Field Generator is not going to be sufficient, and there is just going to be absolutely nothing that Nazdreg is going to be able to do. Looks like he uses Teleportapad to shift a unit to that planet, but at this point it is just going to be something in vain. Nazdreg could have spent his combat turn to retreat from the first planet. really nothing he's going to be able to do. At most, he's going to be able to pick apart that rugged Killicans. But thank you very much, gentlemen. There is finally the GG, the good games, so I can finally shut up. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching. I very much hope you enjoyed this match. A monumental thank you to John Gobeil for investing in a camera, for taking up the hobby. Hopefully not the temporary hobby, but hopefully John will keep me readily supplied with absolutely fantastic videos like this one. So I hope you enjoyed this match. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, I always encourage you to share this content, because the more engagement these videos receive, the more individuals are exposed to Conquest, they might like the game, they may join our living card game community, and of course, all the greater our community is in number, the bigger message we send to Fantasy Flight Games, telling them to continue to support this fantastic product. If you ever want to get in touch with me, I would definitely encourage you to do so through Facebook or on Twitter, and if you ever want to support the Hive Tyrant to help me recover some of my file hosting and operating expenses, and further to allow me to invest any surplus into improving the quality of my audio and video content, then I would be absolutely honored and humbled and deeply appreciative were you to make a $1 or $2 monthly donation to my Patreon. It definitely isn't much, and it definitely goes the extra mile in showing your support, your encouragement, and your affection. But, as always, thank you so much for watching, and once again, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.